Hi everybody, I hope everyone's doing well. This video I will be sharing with you guys a concealer I've recently come across, which I've absolutely been impressed with or am impressed with, and it's definitely going to be a rave review. Then I'll briefly share with you guys a few products that I've rediscovered from my stash, which I'm actually surprised I've even forgotten for a bit because they're absolutely amazing products and I am thoroughly enjoying them at the moment. So if you guys are interested, do stick around. So the first product I'll be sharing with you guys is definitely the concealer. This has actually been released for quite a while now. I know this is not the first time I've come across it, but I believe this is the only time that I was able to actually test the product thoroughly and form some opinion and thought on it. And it was an instant opinion of just absolutely impressed. So I don't know if I'm making sense right now, but anyway, without further ado, the concealer that I'm talking about is by Lancome. And Lancome really as a brand is something that has just been impressing me multiple times as of late, and holy grail status products. So this is their long-lasting softening concealer, which looks like this is the packaging. I don't know if you guys will see that because of the sheen. So this is the product and you get half a fluid ounce or 15 ml. I am not going to quote a price because where I'm at it unfortunately is a bit steeper. I'm not so sure if it's a bit, I think it's quite a bit steeper because of the import tax, but I think based on when I Google the product, I think US prices, it's of course on the higher end or the premium price point for concealers. And I think that would be about the $25 to $30 range. So concealers in that price range that I could compare it to Makeup Forever Full Cover and my Dior Skin Sculpt Lifting Smoothing Concealer. So back to the product, it comes in a squeeze tube, which I think is absolutely amazing just for sanitary purposes. This is how it looks. The consistency and the texture is amazing. It's compared to the Max Select Cover Up, which is a bit more liquid-like. When you squeeze it out of the tube, you most of the time get more than you actually need. The consistency of this concealer is a bit thicker, so it's a bit more controllable when you actually squeeze the product out of the tube. So this is long-lasting softening concealer. It's meant to be used for the under eye area. It's supposed to emphasize light and decrease shadows on your under eye. So, and it neutralizes the darkness as well. It is primarily for the under eye area. When I tried it in the counter, obviously that was in the middle of the day. I did have a little makeup on, but not full makeup on. The moment I pat this in my skin, the difference between one eye and the other was just night and day. And unlike my other brightening concealers, which you can definitely see the difference from where the concealer ends and where your foundation starts, and you really do need to powder it right away because you just see a big demarcation. This one was just seamlessly meshed perfectly well with the foundation that I had and the skin tone that I have. I believe it's not just the color, although the color definitely suits me very much. Just for reference, I'm an NC30 in MAC, and the color that I use for this concealer is 03 Beige Amber. Instantly did brighten my under eye without leaving a white cast or without it being so prominently obvious. At the same time, I tried using it on my blemishes or a few of the redness that I did have on my skin, and it worked perfectly as well. It was just brightened without looking white or without being so obvious. And I have it on right now, and I absolutely think it's amazing. The texture as well, something about the texture or the formulation of this is very different from the rest. I instantly feel like it's not going to crease in me because of the Max Select Cover Up. One of the things that I noticed with that is that it's amazing at brightening. I don't know if it's the shade that I use in that, but I do crease eventually, and then I just have to work with it or pat it. I mean, it doesn't give me horrible creasing, but still, within the day, I can rest assured that it will crease at some point. I haven't really come across one that has never creased. Most of them do, and I think it's the consistency of this. It's the first time I've had consistency of a under eye or brightening concealer that felt this way. It almost was more of a gel-like consistency where it's thicker that way. It's not really very liquid-like, and at the same time, once you pat it in with your finger, which it actually recommends you to use your finger, it almost blends into a powder-like finish. It actually starts, when it starts getting warmed up with your finger, it's slightly tacky, so I know it's actually not gonna move. And then the more I mesh it in and I just smooth it out, dries down to almost a powder finish. It was tremendously amazing, and the difference I saw, the instant brightening from one eye compared to the other, was just hands down. I was speechless, and I knew right away, regardless of the price, it is very steep for a concealer. It was definitely worth purchasing. It's one of those products that you would just be illogical not to purchase, because you know it's gonna last you for a long time. I need very little, not even a dime size. A dime size would be more than enough for both under eyes, but you need very little. So I'm assuming that this would probably last you for a good year. Yeah, or at least beyond 8 months. It's also SPF 12, and another thing I want to share with you guys is the ingredients it has. I'm not going to read off the entire ingredient list on the side of the box because it is quite a bit. A few key ingredients that I think you guys should know about. Some not so good. It has silica. Well, silica you need to brighten anyway. It has titanium dioxide, which is a common ingredient for foundations and concealers. And a few ingredients I was definitely impressed with. And number one of which, I found sodium hyaluronate in this concealer. Sodium hyaluronate is another term, or I guess a scientific term for hyaluronic acid, which is hands down for me the best moisturizing ingredient out there. It moisturizes 3 times than any other moisturizing ingredient base. And a lot of my holy grail products in terms of skincare have sodium hyaluronate because it is something that I actively seek out for, especially in skincare ingredients. So knowing that it was here completely justified the price for me, and it actually made sense why the consistency was such. Most products that I own that have hyaluronic acid really blend into the skin seamlessly, and I think it's just the property that it has. And I guess because it's such a great moisturizing agent, the reason why it also does not crease throughout the day. I did wear it for a couple of hours and there was no creasing at all. I guess that's about it. I don't know if I've mentioned it as SPF 12 as well, which is really not significant in any way. If you're looking at protection wise, you want a minimum of SPF 30. So with an SPF of 12, you shouldn't worry about extreme shine as well, because it's not really gonna affect your look that much. So definitely Lancome's long-lasting softening concealer, holy grail. And if you guys can test it out or try it out, I recommend that you do, because for me, from all the concealers I've tried, Dior, MAC, Makeup Forever, Hourglass, I don't know, a plethora of them, this definitely hands down is the best brightening under eye concealer I've come across.